Hello, everyone. This is Colleen with Speaking of Spirits, and I'm here with my co-host, Dirty Bird. Yeah, so Kelly has this new nickname now, and
Yeah,
we're running with it.
gotta embrace it.
And it's an innocent nickname, but his gaming name is Birdie Cuda, right?
Yeah,
And so I think Decodin called you Dirty Bird in one of the Nightmare Road podcasts, and it just went nuts on Nightmare Road, so we have to use it now.
and somebody posted something about me being Dirty Bird, and they just took off with it. I'm like, "All right, whatever."
So now you're Dirty Bird. So it means nothing about being a dirty bird. He's just Dirty Bird. All right. Today's episode, we're taking off on a subject that you touched upon on our last episode when we talked about Mount Shasta. So, Kelly, why don't you kind of go into this a little?
So, yeah, with our last podcast, we touched on the the Count of Saint Germain, and when Guy Ballard had a run-in with him on Mount Shasta. So I was looking into it, and he's called an ascended master, and I'm like, well, what? I'm like, what is an ascended master?
Right.
So I'm looking into it, and it's fascinating. It really is. I mean, at least every major religion has one ascended master. Like Christianity has Jesus, and then Hinduism has Shiva, and stuff like that. It's fascinating. And these people are basically they're teachers. They've lived multiple lives and gained all this knowledge of love, compassion, understanding, and they pass it on to regular folk. And they're like, if you want to be better, this is what you do. It was fascinating to me.
Yeah. So from what I understand, and I actually had to watch a documentary and read a bunch of stuff on this because I'd never heard of it either, right? I never heard of the concept of ascended master. So there are people who have lived multiple lives. Well, and I don't know if people believe Jesus has lived multiple lives. Well, I guess he has. He was born and reincarnated, so he's in, right? So, but karmically, they have worked out all of their issues so that they are, how do I say this? They are no longer ruled by emotion. They're ruled by just like spiritual love.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
they have all of this knowledge. They're born with all of the knowledge that they've amassed in previous lives. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they're all, they don't have, how do I phrase this? Negative emotional ties.
Right.
They're more of,
Yes.
they're more of like like pure love, light, help your fellow man, stuff like that.
Yeah. They're also born with the knowledge of the day that they will die, how they will die, but they fear no death because they know that they go to like this cosmic astral plane until they're ready to come back. And then they can come back and choose who they're going to be.
Yeah, the sixth dimension, apparently.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, they keep, once they get to that point of ascended master, they die, they go to the sixth dimension, and then they can just pick and choose when they can come back.
Yeah,
how, when, and where they're going to be born, and have the knowledge of how, when, and where they're going to die.
Yeah, yeah, but they've ascended to a plane where, because they've come back so many times, they know there's no fear. All they are is love and healing and light. And so, I was reading something, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tiny bit of feedback, so it's a little distracting for me. But According to the Ascended Master teachings, a master of light, healer, or spiritual master is a divine human being who has taken the fifth initiation and is thereby capable of dwelling in a fifth dimension.
Yeah.
Whatever
that means.
Whatever that means. I don't understand what that means. So, teachings hold that an ascended master is a human being who has ascended. So they've gone up to this dimension, they've come back. And so then they can dwell in the sixth dimension, right? So they've taken the fifth dimension, they can dwell in the fifth dimension, then they can ascend to the sixth dimension. Now, if somebody can explain to me all these dimensions, that would be helpful because I don't get it. But
yeah, don't look at me. I'm stuck in the third dimension, and I'm scared to see what the fourth dimension looks like.
So we had this last episode where we talked about Mount Shasta, and Guy Ballard actually had met the Count of Saint Germain, right? And what Guy was thirsty, and he wanted water, and the Count had given him a liquid to drink instead. And with that, Guy he developed knowledge.
Yeah, so he's at Mount Shasta. He's hiking. He's thirsty. He stops at a spring, and he gets his, I don't know, I guess his canteen out to fill it up with spring water. And as he's bending over to fill up his canteen, he gets a feeling of, this is his words, like being like electrocuted from head to toe. He's like, oh, and he turns around and he sees a guy standing there, and he's like, okay, it's just another guy, just another hiker. And then he gets a feeling of, this is not a normal everyday hiker. And the Count of Saint Germain kind of goes like, pass me your cup, brother. I will fill it with something better than spring water. And he pours a milky like liquid into his cup, and he's like, and Guy Ballard's like, drink this, and I don't know, he's something about drink this and you'll gain more knowledge or something like that. So he drinks it, and then Guy Ballard, I guess, gets a little ascended, and he starts this movement. He's like, okay, I peeked into the universe. I've seen many things. I got to tell the people. And that's where that started from. So as I was looking into Guy Ballard, or no, not Guy Ballard, the Count of Saint Germain, people theorized that he, through alchemy, because he's really gifted at alchemy, he figured out the Philosopher's Stone, and he figured out an elixir of immortality. So maybe he gave him, I don't know. It's fascinating.
It's like he gave him a cup of knowledge or something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe that's what these people do to try to pass on a lot of their teachings. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like, instead of going to college for 4, 8, 12 years, he just gives them a glass of smart juice or whatever, an elixir of knowledge, and he's like, oh, okay, woo.
It would be mind blowing. I guess they would have to choose the people who are in the right frame of mind, spiritually and mentally, to be able to handle that, because I think it could be mind blowing.
You probably wreck your mind. I mean, for me, if I'm out like Scout Mountain and I'm hiking around, and all of a sudden the dude just appears behind me, and he's like, here, drink this smart juice.
I'm not drinking anything.
Who are you? And no.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of teachings out there that have this ascended master teachings. I don't know how accurate they're well, who knows? Only an ascended master could tell you if they're accurate. So there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a thing called the Bridge to Freedom, the Summit Lighthouse. The Bridge of Freedom started in 1951. So I don't know if these are like groups that came together to learn. The Summit Lighthouse, 1958, also known as the Church of the Universal and Triumphant. The Athereus Society, 1955. The Temple of the Presence in 1995. The I Am University, which is, I think, still going, in 2004. The White Eagle Lodge in 1936. And the Aquarian Christian Church Universal, Inc. in 2006. Now, there's this thing. So all of these people come together studying apparently the knowledge that's been handed down by all of these ascended masters. So you have the Bible, you have all of these written things that are supposed to be providing us direction and knowledge, whether you're a Christian or not. I'm not going to get into that, but there's different paths. You know, not everybody has to follow the same path, but you have all these masters. And this I Am movement, or path, I don't know what to call it. It's not really a religion, I don't think. They teach known as dictation. They teach by dictation. So
yeah, they take all this accumulated knowledge from all the ascended masters and use that as a teaching path.
Yeah, and so from what I've read about Guy Ballard, is that he believes that these ascended masters become these cosmic beings, like they're so high on this, that sixth dimension, and that through the use of archangels and all of these other ascended masters that are coming and going all the time, that they're trying to pass on knowledge to us so that we can ascend to a higher plane karmically. So, if you believe in karma, you believe if you do something bad, it's coming back. If you do something good, it's going to come back. That if somebody does something bad to you, it'll bounce back to them eventually, right? That's karmic. And then as you work out all of your issues emotionally and whatnot in this life, that you come back the next life and you've ascended to a little bit better, right? You're trying to keep improving, if you believe in that, to get to a place where you're not hurting others and you're not being hurt and you're just living the best life.
Yeah, I assume it's I don't know if you ever played role-playing games or anything like that, but I assume I'm just
sure
playing around here, but I assume that karma is like you keep your skill points after you die. You keep your skill points and then you re-roll a new character, but you still get to keep all your points, and then you can keep stacking from zero. So you've already got high intelligence, high wisdom. All your other stats are pretty much back to zero, but you keep your wisdom and intelligence and arcane knowledge. So yeah, it's basically being a wizard over and over and over and over again.
So there's a few, I don't know if you want to get into some. I have a list of the ascended masters. Like we talked about before, I didn't want to get into the Count of Saint Germain too much because we're actually going to do another episode on just him because he's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about him, but the Count of Saint Germain is just There's a lot to it. It's fascinating.
And why I'd never heard of this before or heard of him before, or maybe I did and I just lost, any of that knowledge because I'm not an ascended master and I can't keep anything in my head anymore.
Yeah.
And Kelly knows that. He's like, yeah, I got to remind her like 3 times. What's our podcast topic again? Even though then I lose my sticky note. I'm like, dang it.
That's funny.
I chalk it up to all the head injuries I've had. I've had 4 concussions and 1 TBI. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The TBI really rattled my brains, and that was
okay. I was just thinking you were scatterbrained because I've got scatterbrained too.
2015, I had a log that was about 15 feet high come down on my head.
How are you still alive?
I don't know. And it came down on my head. It came down right here, and I felt fine. I didn't even have a headache. I felt fine. It did a lot of neck damage. So I have all of these herniated discs and bulging discs on my neck. But I thought I was fine. I didn't have a headache from it. And then that night, I was apparently talking to my ex-husband, and he goes, I'm taking you to the hospital. And why? Because I wasn't speaking English. I was speaking garbage. Like, I thought I was making sentences like, let's have dinner. But it was just gobbledygook coming out of my mouth. And he went, okay, she's got to go to the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's probably sitting there and you're like, hey, let's have dinner. And it came out like, blah, 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 blah. And she, nope, you're having a stroke. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So it was kind of a long recovery period for.
Whoever your guardian angel is needs a raise. I know mine does because I should have died a couple of times.
I know I've had some crazy stuff happen, but that one was and it was funny because I never had a headache from it. I have a lot of neck problems, but anyway, that's why I can't remember anything. So anyway, let's see. So we have Jesus. He's considered ascended master. Okay. So if you're Christian, don't be offended by this. I'm reading this. This is not my words. So according to Alice Bailey, and I don't know who Alice Bailey is, but apparently she's big in the Ascended Masters movement. The Master Jesus was previously incarnated as Joshua, the Hebrew military leader in the 13th century BC. And Joshua was the high priest in the 6th century BC. So like Jesus has come back over and over and over and over as all of these leaders.
Yeah, I think it's not Joshua, it's Yeshua.
Well,
just to get, don't want to get technical with it, but a lot of people are like, that's not how you pronounce it. It's J's are Y, so it's Joshua.
Oh.
Or whatever.
Okay, so anyway, and then, so he was, Jesus was also, well, then would you say Jesus?
That sounds like a rapper's name. No, I'll stick with Jesus.
I know. So, okay. Then he was also incarnated as Joseph of the coat of many colors in the 17th century BC. So, okay. Like I said, these are not my words. I'm reading this. I don't know where this comes from. I'm not a
Isn't the coat of many colors isn't the coat of many colors a musical?
It's a Dolly Parton song too, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. It's Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors is a musical, I thought.
I don't know.
So that's it. Yeah, I couldn't make the connection with that until now. So,
according to, and again, where did they get their text? But then I have the same questions about the Bible. It's written by all these people, but so anyway, I have a hard time with a lot of this stuff because this is somebody's words and you can believe them or not. I don't know. I don't believe anything that So anyway, and then you have this Sanat Kumara. Is that on your list? Sanat
hang on. Kumara? Gotta wake up my mouse here. And Sanat Kumara.
So he's the founder.
How do you spell it?
Kumara. He's the founder of something called the Great White Brotherhood. And this is not racial. Kumara.
Mura.
He is not. This is not a racial thing at all. So don't get offended. It's this great white brotherhood, and white refers to a spiritual plane of like white mist, and it's like, or all knowledge, like devoid of color because you've learned it all. So it's not a racial thing. Anybody
No.
can ascend. Doesn't matter what race, nationality, creed, anything you are. It's so the Great White Brotherhood, but now you could name it that. You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? But it comprises of the Brotherhood comprises of masters of ancient wisdom. So that's your 5th initiation. Remember, because you haven't gotten to the 6th yet. And ascended masters from the 6th initiation. And apparently there's a 7th and 8th initiations too. Like Buddhas are the 8th. They're the highest.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to try these words. Bodhisattvas, or the 7th initiation. And then your Buddhists are the 8th. Anyway, like I said, this movement is just like, what? You almost need a whiteboard and put all this stuff there.
Yeah, if anybody wants to dive into this, just be prepared because it gets deep and super confusing real fast. I kind of struggled with it a little bit.
Apparently we're not ascended enough to figure this out. But
well, yeah.
I just don't understand. To me it sounds okay. Are there such thing as ascended masters? I don't know. I don't know. To me it sounds like a movement, like any other movement. People can subscribe to follow it or not. Are Buddhas and is Jesus and all these people, are they truly ascended masters? I don't know. I do think there's something definitely more spiritual about these people. I do believe they have gifts that far outweigh our abilities. Apparently they have the gifts of, well, healing by touch, telepathy, all of these, they can manifest things through thin air.
Well, yeah, right? Yeah. If you look at Jesus and Christianity, I mean, you know the story of how Jesus turned water into wine,
right?
And then he had all these people, and he fed this huge group of people with just a fish and a loaf of bread.
Right.
He's like, they're like, we're starving. This is all we have. And he goes, okay.
Right.
Now you're fed.
Right.
So
I do think that they are people who have spiritual gifts that are
far beyond our understanding.
Right. And so then if every religion has an ascended master, that makes sense to me too, because not everybody's going to follow a Christian Jesus. Not everybody's going to follow the Buddha. Not everybody's going to follow. So if you have all of these religions and you have an ascended master within each religion, you have people that are subscribing to that knowledge to try to gain that, to follow that person and perhaps try to karmically be better, right?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point, is that a lot of these religions, major religions around the world, they have one figure or a couple of figures that they're like, and they are like, this is how you should live your life to be better. And a lot of them, I want to say like India, maybe, they go, okay, this is how you're supposed to live from birth till death. They're taught, this is how you're supposed to live your life. And then you get karma points during your life. So when you die and come back, you have these karma points that when you're born again, you have a better life afterwards.
Right.
So I hate to use video game terms, but your karma points stack up until you reach the point of enlightenment, like Buddha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, I completely believe in multiple lives. Like I do have memories of a past life, not a lot, but I do. I had a reincarnation experience that was incredibly powerful, and multiple people saw it and what happened. I spoke in a language I didn't know to a person that I'd never met and talked about family that I could not have known. And it blew the man away. I was 5.
That is super interesting. Yeah.
So,
Okay. So I kind of subscribe to the idea that when we die, we lose most of our memories and knowledge, but you keep little bits, just little tiny bits of previous lives. That's where deja vu comes in. So you can, like, I don't know, you go to the store or whatever, you're doing your random thing, and all of a sudden you get that feeling of, I've done this before, but I don't know where. And it's really bizarre.
mm-hmm.
Or yeah, you could go somewhere. You could travel across the country and go to a place you've never been before. You walk in the door and you're like, oh, I've done this before.
Mm-hmm. I've seen
But you
this
don't know
before.
what, you don't know why or
Yeah.
how. You know you've done it before.
Yeah. I was standing right here and I saw that yellow bus just like this. I mean, yeah, those things happen. So yeah, are those snippets from past lives? I don't know. Something beyond what we're capable of understanding right here and now happens to us. So I think if you subscribe or want to look into the Ascended Master movement, I think that's great. I think anything that brings you knowledge and power and enlightenment is a good thing, whether it's Christianity or Buddhism or whatever. As long as you are not harming people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't hurt anyone.
Right.
Don't hurt anyone. Don't hurt anything.
Right.
Be good, do good.
Be good, do good.
Where you can, when you can, how you can.
Yeah. And next episode, hang with us, guys, because I think the next episode is going to blow your mind. Because I when I started looking into the count, and I'm like, I'm like, because you brought some of those things up, and I went, okay, wait a minute. So then Katie, who's on our podcast, she came over for dinner one night, and I said, have you ever heard of him? So she brings him up on her phone, and she's like, oh my God. And so I really want to dig into him because his story is fascinating to me.
Yeah, I brought him up on
the Shasta episode.
I brought him up on the Hollow Sky Night Shift.
Oh.
Like, have you guys ever heard of the Count of Saint Germain? And like 5 people are like, yeah, I heard of him. I'm like, so he's around in a lot of the paranormal circles, because I think everybody's like stumbled across him, like, who's this guy? And they look into him, they're like, oh, dude.
Yeah. So we are we're gonna talk more in depth about him, and he is an Ascended Master, allegedly. Again, I don't.
Yeah, and immortal too. So he pops in and out of places
every century, seems like. So we're gonna go into his story, definitely. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up on this that we haven't covered?
No, not really. No, I think we pretty much covered it all.
I'm telling you, maybe look into this a little bit. If you're floundering out there and you're looking for a path, maybe this could be your path to enlightenment. I don't know.
Apparently you can commune with Ascended Masters through meditation and prayer. So there's that.
Yes, I did read that. So you can, like, if you want to connect with an Ascended Master, you would meditate and ask them to come provide guidance. And it's going to take time, but apparently eventually when you've reached that high state of meditation, they may come to you and
Yeah, yep. But be careful of who you're asking. So I mean, you look at the list and you might be like, okay, I want to talk to this person, and you might get the wrong one, and they're like, you want me to do what? Okay, like who was it? Shiva, the goddess of destruction. You're like, hey, I need some help, and they're like, okay, I'll just obliterate everything. No.
So, but I thought if once you're an ascended master that you're supposed to be kind of all love and light. Are you telling me that not all ascended masters are love and light?
Well, okay. So one of the ascended masters is a goddess, but she is a goddess of quote unquote death. So death doesn't mean die. Death means you sever a bad relationship. That relationship has died. So I'm just saying, be careful if you do this. If you do this, be careful who you're asking. Look into it, because you might get the wrong one, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting. That's interesting because I wonder if I would not. Well, I guess they would be. So, say like you have different gods. Why you have Hecate and Bridget and all these different, right? Isis and all of these gods. Oh, and you can say gods and goddesses, but I just call them collectively gods out there. I guess. Uh-oh. My Riverside thing just stopped. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get. I guess they would be considered ascended masters because there's nothing above them. They are who they are, and they're all powerful, right? So yeah, and your intention is everything. So if you're calling on somebody to help you do good in life, then that's one thing. But if you're calling on somebody to do bad, be careful because it could be bad in your life too.
And if you're just dabbling, be careful if you're dabbling, because you never know who's gonna, pick up the phone and be like,
right.
Yeah, you can't just randomly dial a higher power and be like, hey, can you help me? And be like, who the hell are you? Are you a telemarketer? Okay, I'm coming down there.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I like this topic. It was interesting. I had never heard of it. I always like topics where we can do some research and learn while we're doing the podcast. So hang with us, guys. Now, most of our videos are still on Pocatello Paranormal, and they're going to stay there on YouTube. But we've also moved all of our podcasts over to our other show on our YouTube called Nightmare Road. And Nightmare Road is a collection of everything. We do fun stuff. We do paranormal. We do murder. We do dad jokes. Dirty Bird's getting really good at.
Yeah, we do investigations too. I kind of want to do a lot more of that. And come springtime, I got to get a hold of Outlaw. But come springtime, I want to go check out Case Cross.
Yeah, we've got some road trips we're going to do. Pocatello Paranormal has out of 500 teams that apply every year to go into a particular building. We were chosen, and so we're very, very excited about it. In April, I'm firming up the plans and the dates so that we can get up and do this building. We're going to take a almost week-long road trip through Montana to do some paranormal stuff up there. And we have some stuff in Utah. We're going to do this. We're going to be very busy this year between the podcasts and the investigations and everything that we do. But we love every minute of it, and we don't make a dime off of it. But we're like-minded people, and we come together and we have a great time.
We do. Yeah. Last night was fun.
Oh yeah! So last night we taught a class at ISU.
Yeah.
And It's we're teaching paranormal investigations at ISU College of Technology. So it's here in Pocatello, and you can sign up for these classes. This particular course, this is the first time we've taught it, and so I'm learning a lot about what do's and don'ts the next time. But so it's a 6-week course, and we introduce people into the paranormal world, and then the 6th night of the course is an investigation at ISU. And last night was our 4th night of the course, and we had all of our equipment showing the class, all of our equipment, and they started interacting with somebody in the building.
Yep. So if you want some good fishing spots, I'll tell you where they're at.
Fishing?
Yeah. I mean, ghost hunting, but I call them fishing.
Oh, I'm like, how did we get into fishing all of a sudden?
No, I just call them fishing. So that's how my brain works.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm hoping that each time we do this class, we get a different building to investigate, because there's so much there at ISU has activity.
Go to the biology building.
Okay, we'll try to get in there. So anyway, hang with us, guys. We have a lot on our plate. You can follow us on YouTube and then Pocatello Paranormal. Like and subscribe, please. And then head over to Nightmare Road, because I think you'll like it. Nightmare Road is Decon is our one of our hosts, and we have Dirty Bird and me and Haywire, and we're insane on that program. I just love it. So even though we talk about some really dark subjects, we have a lot of fun with it, even though the subject itself is not fun, and you never wish murder on anybody, and the murder itself is bad. But Decon is bananas, and we have a lot of fun when he's on the show.
Decon's a goof. But he's fun to hang out with.
Yes. So, all right, guys, signing off for today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe.
You've been listening to Speaking of Spirits, powered by Pocatello Paranormal Research in Pocatello, Idaho. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do us a favor and go to whatever platform you are listening to the podcast on and give us a review. We prefer the 5-star reviews. This helps us know how we're doing, and it helps others to find the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next podcast.